Welcome to the Motoring Podcast, your weekly discussion of motoring news. This is episode 671 on Tuesday, the 17th of February, 2026. Hello, I'm Alan.
Hello, I'm Andrew. And this week you'll hear several stories that you'll be charged up by. In new car news, you'll learn about one car that makes us go a little weak at the knees for. And in points of interest, if you're of a similar age to us, you're going to feel old. We're sorry.
Oh, so very old.
But first, we have a smidgen of follow-up, and thank you very much to listener Susie Richards. She found, almost immediately as soon as we published our episode last week, that Ox Delivers has actually, in fact, gone into liquidation. There is an article from thebusinessdesk.com that she sent to us that will explain what has happened, and unfortunately, it turns out they just could not get the funding they were desperately searching for. As we said last week, it's a real shame, and we hope everybody involved in the company finds new jobs ASAP.
Mm-hmm. And I'm sure we'll find a bit more detail about just what happened and why the swivel and what then happened in due course.
Yep.
But yes, that's a real shame.
Yeah.
Huge proponents of that, but it was taking a long time to develop.
Mm.
New news then, moving swiftly on from the bad news, Ford.
I thought you said moving on from the bad news.
Yeah, I did. Ford has posted a £5.9 billion loss due to EV struggles and is outsold by BYD. So it's $8.2 million of loss last year. Most of that, similar to Stellantis that we were talking about last week, the result of a massive write-down due to, it says, an overhaul of its struggling EV business. Here in this Autocar article, I think we'll probably discuss that in just a second.
Yeah.
But it's also now dipped below BYD in terms of global sales. Ford sold or recorded 4,394,000 vehicles sold, 4.6 million for BYD in 2025. A struggling EV business.
Yes. We've noticed this recently in a lot of articles. There is a tendency to start saying the EV bet they got wrong and things like that, implying as though it is completely the company's fault for the situation where they find themselves, particularly in the US market.
Yeah.
When, in fact, they actually made the moves that they did for EVs purely down to government mandates, government incentives, and the way that the government wanted the car industry to go. That all changed 180 degrees when the new regime came in, and that is what the problem is.
It is for Ford very much. There's a few things with Ford, like everything's quite expensive.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's not like, I mean, Stellantis did not have a great offering anyway, and then it just got worse. Ford had a reasonable offering, looked to be refining that offering, but there's not a hope in heck that we can make any money at all on this. Rip off the Band-Aid, as they say, on the other side of the Atlantic, and deal with it. Just write it all off. There is no point in us doing anything with what we now know for the next 2.5, 3 years, until the next equivalent of the big, beautiful bill, and I cannot believe that that's its official name, comes, whatever it is that gets rid of that, because it in turn got rid of the whole President Biden's infrastructure bill.
Yep.
Which was what mandated and what everybody was using as their guide for strategy and direction, and basically the drivers from the environment. The environment has shifted on these folks so hard. It's not just that, but stuff like Ford, for example, planning to build stuff 5 miles away from its headquarters. Just happens that's a different country.
Yep.
You never guess what. Somebody decided that there were going to be tariffs.
Yeah, there's a trade war now, so they can't do it.
Somebody seems to think that the Canadians are going to pay for it. But Canadians aren't really going to pay for it.
No.
And it is manifested in just making this worse and worse and worse. And yet somehow we find out, and we really don't, it's not often we lay into Autocar, but this isn't the story linked in the show notes from Autocar. It's not an Autocar specific thing.
No.
It's like, oh, Ford bet wrongly, Stellantis, whoever bet wrongly. It's like, no, they didn't. They made the right bet at the time, given what was all around them.
Yeah.
And for what it's worth, professionally, I'm not someone who's going to defend Ford. Because reasons, Much as I actually quite like their cars and stuff.
Anyone who's listened to us has heard us put the boot into decisions they have made, which have been very, very poor from their senior management. This wasn't that. This was not that.
Exactly. This was not that. And for product planning, we've made so many jokes about that over the years. Not this time.
No.
Not this time. I absolutely can't.
No.
It's just crazy. So hopefully it'll sort out. It'll sort itself out. I'm sure that there will be a rumbling undercurrent of EVs and range extenders, or at least things engineered for that over the next few years, in the hope that there is a change.
Yeah. Well, don't forget what the Ford are doing in Europe is different to America.
Yes.
Because Ford and Europe have tied in with Renault to try and produce a small, affordable EV, because they've realised getting rid of the Fiesta was a bit of a mistake, although you can sort of understand why they did it at the time.
Yep.
Again,
sort of.
They are following or trying to meet rules and regulations that are in the markets they are in, and that's tricky.
And of course, right at the minute for EVs, they've buddied up with Volkswagen as well.
Yes.
I've started seeing quite a lot of ID3s around. Sorry, tangential to that. Remember, when we're talking about stuff, we quite often just talk about the cars, and Ford commercial arms actually doing really very well at the moment.
Yeah. Right, I'm going to move us on to Stellantis, because further to last week, they are now actually going to be reintroducing diesel models back into Europe. They are going to have a diesel Peugeot 308, a diesel Opel Astra, and a diesel DS4. Also included on that will be the Opel Combi van, the Citroën Berlingo, and the Peugeot Rifter. Once again, get a diesel engine as an option. I have no idea if this is coming to the UK or not. I would imagine not, the way that our zero-emission vehicle mandate is still in place as it is.
Yes, I would imagine the combis are like that, but then the commercial versions will still be available.
Yes, because they have a different timeline and requirements.
Yes.
Because a battery van doesn't go as far as it needs to.
It's partly that, yeah. And also, companies are set up for diesel fleets as well. Got to remember that. Partner here is available on electric and diesel.
Just to say, we're probably going to be drip-fed these little snippets of changes in their strategy up to the end of the month, when there is their full call for the end-of-year financial results. And I would presume in that call, the new head honcho is going to be very bullish about, here's our new strategy going forward to try and deflect what looks like is not going to be great results for the year.
Yes. But then you can always blame them on the last guy.
Well, yeah, exactly. So he needs to come out swinging with, here's our new strategy. We've got it all under control. It's going to be great.
Yeah, we know it's not good at the minute, and this is what we have been doing and are going to do to sort it. And that helps keep investors sweet if they realize, if you can say, we've got a problem, but here's a solution, and we're already doing it.
Yeah.
Yep. Oh, I'll tell you something we didn't mention. Jumping back 2 stories to Ford, we also didn't mention the quite spectacular number of recalls and all of the rework that had to go into that, which will hit things as well.
Yes, but I think we're doing a write-down for EVs was useful in hiding that in all the noise. Because in America alone, you probably don't know this, dear listener, but Ford recalled nearly 150 times in 2025. These are separate recalls.
Which is quite special. That's like 3 a week. I mean, well done. It was basically a new record. And it's quite spectacular that they had that many vehicles ready to be recalled. But there we are.
And quite a few were recalls on recalls.
Yes. This is not always a good thing.
No. But talking of recalls, but in Blighty.
Yes, what struck me to remind me about that is BMW is advising almost 25,000 drivers in the UK not to leave their car unattended with the engine running because of concerns that faulty starter motors could overheat and catch fire. Certain models built between July 2020 and July 2022 are being recalled, and this is as a result of internal quality control tests. They discovered that defects in the starter motor switches could cause increased wear. Specifically, it's 24,732 cars in the UK, 197 in Ireland. In total, globally, it could be up to 575,000 cars affected. In the UK, those include, brace yourselves, folks.
Here's a new list of the week for you.
Yes, it's the G42 2 Series, the G20/G21 3 Series, the G22/23 4 Series, the G26 4 Series Grand Coupe, the G30/31 5 Series, the G11/12 7 Series, the G01X3, the G02X4, the G05X5, the G06X6, the G29Z4.
There is the potential, not sure if it's in the UK as well, to affect the Toyota Supra.
The GR Supra, yes, it will do. If it's the G29Z4 is affected, then the GR Supra will be affected as well.
Yeah,
given it's the same drive package.
But I've not seen anything out in the press about that.
There aren't the same numbers, really.
No, but if you do have a Supra, just pay attention to your emails.
Yeah, have a wee chat with your dealer, I think.
Yeah.
Similarly here, if you own any of those and built between July 2020 and July 2022, time to have a little chat to your dealership.
Yes.
And get it booked in. The company has not indicated how long the repair itself will take or given a time frame for addressing the entire batch of models. Yeah, in the meantime, don't leave it sitting alone running, which you shouldn't be doing anyway.
No. Right, I'm going to keep us in the UK, and we're going to move on to charging news. And BE.EV, is a Manchester-based charging company which has charging networks across the north of England as well as in the Midlands. Well, they've now expanded to cover the south of England by taking over the European operator MER, which has added 1,600 charging bays across a further 450 sites. That brings them up to 2,500 bays in more than 680 locations. Now rests in the top 10 of the largest rapid and ultra-rapid charging capacities in the UK. It's a lot of expansion and spending money.
I was reading this. It turns out that's because it's majority owned by the Octopus Energy Generation Sky Fund. So lots of it runs on Octopus renewable energy, but the fund for the Sky Fund backs renewable and energy infrastructure projects around the world and has raised more than £2.5 billion from institutional investors. It's sort of pension funds and that kind of thing. They should have some solid, dependable, long-term backing for this. But yeah, I think we're getting to the stage where we're more likely to see consolidation of the many, many providers than of new providers popping up here, there, and everywhere. I'm not saying that won't happen, but I think that's going to slow, and there's going to be a certain amount of consolidation.
Yeah. We're having spoken to a network representative from a network operator, I have now a much better understanding of how difficult it is to make any profit, which worries me.
There's an interesting thing is that they're saying here that they're going to try not to close any charging sites. What they're going to try to do is upgrade existing ones. And that makes a lot of sense because, of course, if you're upgrading stuff, then you don't necessarily need a brand new connection to the national grid. You don't need new planning permission, etc., etc., etc. So I can see how just buying one where somebody's done all that hard work starts to make a lot of sense.
Yeah, well, I mean, fingers crossed, because we need more chargers, and you're going to hear the next couple of stories. They're very much centred in a certain part of England as opposed to the rest of the country. So the fact that BE.EV is across the north and the Midlands and now the south, all power to them, and I hope they are successful. Just from a purely selfish point of view.
Yes, exactly. Meanwhile, in the south of England...
The poor, uncovered south of England, you mean?
The poor people of Harrow.
Yes.
The London Borough of Harrow has partnered with a charge point operator called char.gy. We think it's becoming a thing that you have to have a dot in the middle of your name if you are some kind of charging firm.
I don't think they're allowed to connect to the network unless they do. It must be it.
No, well, that's it. It's one of the things that National Grid insists on.
Yes.
But it's putting in place 500 new on-street EV charging points, and it's aiming to target motorists who don't have a home charger. This is lower speed charging, 7 to 22 kilowatts, from 7 a.m. to 12 a.m. The day tariff will be 59 pence per kilowatt hour. The night saver tariff is priced at 39 pence per kilowatt hour.
That's outrageous, that daytime charge for 7 kilowatt. 59p?
Yeah, I think they really want you to do the overnight one. From 2023 to 2026, they were named the UK's most affordable public charging point.
Okay. The bar isn't very high, let's be honest.
It isn't. It really isn't. When you think about that, and that 20% of that is VAT, charge points are going to be fitted to lampposts. They have already fitted 225 of the 500. And the remaining 275 will be put in place by the very specific October the 8th, 2026.
We shall hold them to that.
Yes. The good news is that the CEO is delighted to be expanding the network, which is a wonderful surprise, isn't it? But yes, they're aiming for places where there isn't off-street parking.
Right, well, sticking with the poor southeast and how it doesn't have any coverage at all, well, Kent is aiming to help that by going to roll out 10,000 on-street EV chargers. They've awarded a 20-year contract to Urban Fox. They're using more than 12 million of government funding to be able to do this. And the idea, like with the last story, is to expand access to those who do not have off-street parking.
Can you imagine the first vehicle with a foreign number plate using one of these in Kent? Those immigrants coming over here using our charging points.
Will they not be just festooned in English flags?
Yes, they will be. Yes, there'll be St. George's crosses over everything.
Yeah, upside down. Because they can't get that right. Oh, dear. They're going to start doing the first phase in the summer of 2026. And then what they are doing, I'm not very happy about this next bit, though. This next bit worries me. The locations are going to be assessed based on local demand and suitability. I understand the suitability.
Oh, the areas with the most English flags then.
But local demand, that's local demand now. That's not local demand in a couple of years when more people have EVs. That always worries me that there's, unless they've got some sort of future planning involved in this as well, my hopes are not high, I have to say, having seen how councils have done things.
But hopefully it's Urban Fox that's doing the planning and not Kent County Council.
Do you reckon?
I have to be strong and positive at some point in this story.
Okay.
Other than making fun of people of Kent.
No, but it's great. There's 10,000 charging points. Can everywhere else please start doing the same? Please.
Yes.
That is just my... I mean, I know I put we have our tongue firmly in our cheek when we're taking we're extracting the Michael out of the southeast. You must be tripping over chargers down there compared to the rest of us.
Well, according to press releases. Now, let's be fair here. According to press releases, we would think that there is every second parking spot in the southeast of England.
You can hop from charger to charger.
Meanwhile, poor people in the southwest are limping gradually along their tiny country lanes trying to get to the nearest 2 kilowatt charging point.
Finding the largest hill so they can recharge on that by braking all the way down.
By rolling down it, yes. They're going to the middle of Bodmin Moor, where there is one solitary charger. In fact, there is a charger in the middle of Bodmin Moor, and we used it.
Yeah.
It was quite a good one, actually, at the time.
It was vital at the time.
Yeah, yes. Sorry, I'd forgotten about that when I started the joke. It was only halfway through.
Anyway, I think, for a change, not like the last couple of weeks, that is the end of the first part of the show, and you'll notice that we haven't really got grumpy either, which is a relief for us. Must be for you as well, the listener.
The people of Kent might complain, but never mind. In the flash that has gotten us here in 29 minutes, only it won't be by the time he's chopped bits out, it's Guilt Minute, the quick break in the show where we ask for a tad of financial support to keep the lights on and the hosting running. If you feel the Motoring Podcast is worth a small consideration every month, then you can become a patron. Different levels of patron include different levels of commitment from us to you, including being able to watch the show recorded live. We also have a small range of merchandise in our spring store, from stickers to mugs and t-shirts. All of the above might change in the next little while or be added to about the time, hopefully by next week. I will have time at the weekend to actually sit down and sort out some things via YouTube nowadays. If you don't have any spare cash, We completely understand that you can help us by following for free from a podcast player to receive every show as they're released, and by liking and rating the show in whichever way your podcast supplier lets you. If you've done all of that, and some of you do, so thank you very much, then the last thing you can do is to recommend us to your friends or colleagues.
Thank you, everyone that does. And thank you, everyone, for the kind comments on social media when you have reposted our links.
Yes.
And said lovely things. I've seen that on LinkedIn and on Blue Sky. So thank you very much, everyone who does that. That is really appreciated.
Yeah, really nice. And similarly on YouTube and stuff as well. I know. So it was a week of people saying nice things about the podcast. So especially as we got off, finished recording last week and went, don't think that was a very good one.
Yes. We had much back and fro between us going, wasn't a good one. Feel
and
it.
That's the week. Everyone felt that was the week to say really nice things. So thank you so much.
Yeah.
It does make a difference.
It really does.
Really does.
Helps us through the dark times.
We don't want stroked every week, but it just your timing was impeccable this time. Anyway, new car news.
Yes.
Mazda 6. A new Mazda 6 is coming along. It's going to be badged and termed the Mazda 6e. It will be a sleek rear-wheel drive electric fastback. It says to rival the Tesla Model 3. Certainly in looks, it gets the Tesla Model 3, picks up and chucks it into the ditch. The 6e will be priced from £38,995. In the UK, you'll only be able to get it in the highest Takumi or Takumi Plus specs. In both cases, they use a 78 kilowatt-hour lithium iron phosphate battery, which will help achieve a range of 348 miles in its most efficient form. Power is delivered by a 255 brake horsepower rear motor that will push it to 62 in a steady 7.6 seconds.
I don't think anything needs to be under 7 seconds unless it's a hypercar.
No, 7.6 is more than zippy enough for joining motorways, etc., etc.
Yep.
There are other powertrains available in continental Europe, generally giving a little less range, but with different types of battery as well. Mazda said it's offering the UK setup because this combines the best of both in terms of range, performance, and charging times. I think it just helps make it simpler, really.
Yeah.
UK model should be able to charge from 10 to 80% in 24 minutes, thanks to a 195 kilowatt DC rapid charging system. As standard, it'll have a heat pump, dual zone climate, heads-up display, powered tailgate, and electric front seats. And if you go for the Takumi Plus trim, you'll end up with Napa leather, panoramic glass roof, and titanium detailing. I like this. I like this a lot.
There's a few aspects of this that I find a bit challenging and I'm a bit disappointed in. I understand the overall shape because they're going for slipperiness, so it's not going to look quite like the 6, particularly when it comes round to when the car moves across the profile to the rear. If you notice the way that I think they've quite cleverly managed to get sort of along the lines of the Prius, the Ioniq, but still make it look like a normal car, if you see what I mean.
But don't forget that the 6 has, for as long as I can remember, been available as a hatchback as well as a saloon.
Yeah.
It's very much leaning on that, but yes, you're quite right. It's got the sort of sharp end, and it's got active aero as well to make it actually sharper and more aero. It's got a little pop-up spoiler. Yay!
I don't like the daylight running thing through the grille. I find that irritating in any car I see it in, and I've done an awful lot of night driving recently, and it is such a pain seeing it on the road.
You see, this doesn't bother me. What I don't like is when they outline the grille.
Oh, that just looks that looks very wrong.
Yeah, sometimes it looks like a toilet seat.
Yeah.
So an Alpha I saw with it outlined, and I think that was in the US, and it looked like a toilet seat.
It actually looks like someone's gone and got LED strip and just put them around themselves at home. It looks so naff.
On the BMW iX3, it is just the most tastelessly naff rubbish. Sorry. So that's the one that I hate. I don't mind this more subtle approach.
But what I'm really disappointed with is the interior, not the most of the interior, but the fact that they've removed physical controls. Bearing in mind, Mazda stuck for so long with having that dial, which I found was one of the best interfaces for a driver to use Plus, they also banned you from accessing certain bits if you were driving.
Yes, it was that, and the fact it was a touch screen when you were stopped, but then it was the dial when you were moving over like 5 or 10 miles an hour.
Yep.
And various bits disabled themselves from as well when you were driving. I had, of course, what's now a relatively early incarnation of that in my MX-5, in DMX-5, and it was great.
But I understand why it's happened, because this was a Chinese model first.
Yes, it was.
And apparently, we are all told reliably, the Chinese market must not have any buttons. It must all be a massive screen.
We were also told that the Chinese market likes really ugly cars, which I think was quite a bad excuse for really ugly German cars.
Yeah. When you sit in there, the finish and the materials will be superb. It'll put to shame some of the premium brands.
You sit in a CX-5 and then you go sit in an iX, an i3. i3 and X3, pardon me. And the Mazda's the nicer interior. It's just better. It's nicer looking. It's better. It feels better quality in most places.
Yeah, I'm sure that's going to do well. I'm really impressed with the range. I'd love to know the efficiencies, though. Anyway, I'm going to move us on, and BYD has updated the Atto 3. Now, if you're trying to remember what an Atto 3 is, like we have regularly done in recent weeks, it is one of their SUVs, and it is now going to be rear-wheel drive. For the range topper, it's going to have up to 443 brake horsepower for some reason, and apparently, because of its four-wheel driveness and that brake horsepower amount, is going to get to 62 quicker than a VW Golf R, which is just what we want people to have on the roads.
More interestingly, it can be used to power external devices up to 3 kilowatts.
There's also a bigger battery, and the range is jumping up from 260 to 317 miles, which is a good thing to see.
I do worry about just the performance arms race there is in just what are very much family cars. I think that there's going to be, at some point, there's going to be a terrible, nasty accident with a young driver. And then there's going to be a lot of politicians jumping up and down, and then this kind of thing is going to be banned.
So there's going to be massive wringing of hands, and because people have ignored others going, hang on, this is getting ridiculous. But the other thing is as well with all this is I think that the car manufacturers have completely lost their minds when it comes to advertising or marketing these cars. Instead of promoting the positives of having, no pun intended, an EV, like the quietness, the smoothness, all that sort of stuff, they're going, look how fast it is. Well, it's an EV, of course it's fast off the line. For goodness sake, just grow up and stop being little boys.
One of the things is that it's fast without cues of speed. So there's no there's no increasing vibration, there's no increasing engine noise or all these kind of things. And that's one of the things that actually makes it really quite dangerous. I don't outright have a problem with fast cars. I just want them to tell you that they're going quite fast. You know what I mean, though.
No. Yeah, I'm not anti-fast cars. I'm not anti-powerful cars or anything like that. But I think people need to, or companies need to realize who their market is. And if you're giving, I don't know, the guy just trying to commute to work or the mum going on the school run, nearly 450 brake horsepower.
Yeah.
You need to think why. Why are we doing that? Why are we giving them that? What does it add? What does it add to the experience in any way? This is an SUV, for crying out loud. It doesn't need 450 brake horsepower.
Yeah.
It's not going to go around corners on its door handles or anything like that. You are running the risk of it being dangerous. That's the problem.
That's part of it, is that the rest of the vehicle isn't necessarily up to the 440 horsepower and the 5.5 second 0 to 62 mile an hour dash.
Well, almost certainly the person behind the wheel isn't.
That's what worries me about some of these. And the person behind the wheel probably, I know that I'm not necessarily.
No, I'm not pretending I can.
Shall we go from that to something far nicer?
Yes.
We've spoken about Neil Van Rooij and his design company a number of times before. One of the first times he came to prominence was with a Tesla Model S station wagon, the green one. And he's played lots of other things since, including Ferraris and all sorts of stuff. He has started a new division of his company, and it's called Autoforma. And the idea seems to be to use those kind of basically the design skills that exist and apply them to restomods.
And it's not a Porsche.
And it's not a Porsche. Yes, this was good. So a 964 has not been sacrificed for this, mostly because it is based on a classic Volvo P1800ES, the shooting brake 3-door estate ones. And in this case, it's 5-cylinder turbocharged motor from it's a Volvo T5 engine. You can do you can have whatever you want, really, depending on how much you're prepared to pay.
Yeah,
there's going to be five cars each year is the cap, but there's kind of starting specs that you can sort of begin from. So there's Heritage Heaven, Modern Marvel, or Forward Fashionista. The Forward Fashionista is the most radical of the sort of styles. Prices will start from €300,000 excluding taxes. That's about £261.
£61,000.
£261,000. Yes.
Otherwise, we're forming an orderly queue.
Yes. I'll have all 5, please.
Yeah. There's some great pictures in this motoring research article. I'll also link to the Autoforma website as well, so you can really have a good take your time when looking at these things. I love what they've done, and it just looks really good. I'm always a big fan of LEDs on older cars anyway, and I know quite a few people really don't like that look, but I've always liked that. That doesn't offend me. I'm an it depends person. This doesn't have dead eyes. No. Seems to be very much the minis. Any of the mini Metro and Defender resto mods, probably because it's the same flipping light. Yeah, probably the same light thing. Yes, it will be, won't it? They've just taken the candle out and now put a bulb in. give or take it. Yeah, well, give or take a fitting or two. And I don't like those, but certainly these renders. And what they've also been very pains to stress is that the idea is they want to keep the analog driving experience, but their main effort is to improve the reliability and ease of use. So they've not chucked these engines in and the oily bits and everything else they've upgraded to make it do 0 to 60 in 0.3 of a second or anything silly like that. It's just so that you can use them all the time and make it your daily. Niels does that with his stuff, though. Yeah, because what I love about his stuff is he's so sensible in the approach, but has such beautiful details in the cars. The Rolls Corniche shooting brake is the other one that's similar to this, which I think that was the last thing they announced, which is very much a one-off. But I love that, it's for a Dutch client, and so in the back there's a fold-out bike rack, much like you could at one point spec on a Corsa or a Mariva. but it slides away and it's invisible, and then you bring it out and you don't have to hang stuff off the back and stuff. I just love all the little bits like that, which are so cool. So I would love to see one of these in the flesh and just have half an hour to just go over it and look at all the details. Yeah, great looking car. Love the fact they've done this. Do click on the links in the show notes because you're just going to enjoy looking at what they're proposing to do. The name of the model is the Norsken, Norrsken, which is the Swedish word for the Aurora Borealis. Oh, right, okay. I have now learned something. Mm-hmm. Right, I'm going to move us on to points of interest. And we're going to start with the lunchtime read from Top Gear. And they have interviewed a chap who decided, yes, I do want to go from Paris to Tokyo, but I'm not going to be one of those that spends a ton of money on a fabulous camper. No. I am going to take a Peugeot 104, an old Peugeot 104. Which was his first car as well. So it wasn't as if he even went out and bought another car for this. 104 was a 5-door hatchback, for those of you who need reminded, that came before the 205. And when you think about it, to drive from France down across Greece, across Turkey, and right sort of through all of that area, across Mongolia, yes, and through a little bit of Russia, and until you eventually get to Japan, it's actually a very, very sensible car to take. I know that sounds silly. There's not a lot of space in it. You're going to pack light, I guess, but it's a small car.
so you can dodge between the worst obstacles. It's so simple you can fix it with a hammer and a coat hanger. And it has extremely compliant French suspension that from the time when Peugeot's worked in North Africa. It seems like a really quite an inspired choice of vehicle, to be honest. But yeah, it's a great, don't spend, I'm not going to go through and tell you the whole story as outlined in Top Gear. You should really go read it yourself. It's really interesting.
When we can find adventures in cars, we love to bring them to you to share with you, because I just love the fact that, I'm living vicariously through these people, going off and doing these crazy mad things and having a brilliant time. One of the pictures will show you that he's got a YouTube channel as well, which I presume there's some, I've not looked it up, I've not had a chance to look it up, but I presume that there's quite a bit about the journey as well in that. Do click the link in the show notes, do read it, and then if it takes your fancy, then see if you can find out some more. But yeah, brilliant idea. Love it.
Super cool. Another good one is this week's List of the Week. Well, it's good apart from the fact that it makes us feel old. That's bad.
Yeah, because it's that thing where people say, oh, this thing that happened, or this song that came out, or this film came out, and it was X number of years ago, and you suddenly go, no, it was only 5 years ago, wasn't it? 10 years ago.
For those of us who play Cardle every morning, we have this quite often. It's the whole I can't believe it was that long ago thing that many of us feel most mornings.
So you fall at the year then?
Oh yeah, I always fall at the year. It's a thing. I'm very good at falling at the year.
Well, the title of it is called 25 Cars That Are 40 in 2026.
Yes.
We're sorry, but not sorry.
Oh no, I'm in mourning. Andrew, what have you chosen?
Well, there could have been a lot I could have picked in here. There was some that I had no idea about because there are a few American cars in there, or American-only market cars.
Yes.
That I've not seen or recognised, but most of them you should recognise. And again, link will be in the show notes. But if everybody could turn to slide 26 of 26, and I have selected the Volvo 480. I cannot believe that is 40 years. There's no way that's 40 years old. No.
Okay.
No.
That was from the last time that Volvos were hugely unreliable.
I will go as far as 20 years. I'm not going, because we're not in 2026, so that doesn't matter. We're only in about 2010.
I would give you a 30 years, to be honest, on this one. Yeah.
But, yeah. It was sort of ground shaking that they came out with that at that time.
Yeah, absolutely. The thing is that my memory of the 480, I mean, it does look good. I saw one not so long ago, and it's still a distinctive car. And the thing is that Volvo at the time, everything was absolutely square.
Yeah. And you can see they were trying to recreate a little bit of the P1800 we just talked about as well.
A little bit, yeah. Yes, you could, but still, the whole the front with the pop-up headlamps and everything.
Yeah.
That was so
that always makes a car cooler.
Volvo. It always makes a car cooler. One day I long to own a car with pop-up headlamps. I know everyone's going to go, they're not that good, actually. They're really impractical. And they always wait and you can't flash things. And I don't care. I just want the pop-up headlamps, all right? Yeah. That simple.
Yeah.
Don't start telling me all this practicalities.
Yeah, don't give me reality. I don't want reality.
I'm at the other end of the scale. I have chosen slide number 2, which is the E32 BMW 7 Series. And I remember this because my dad was finance director at a BMW dealership when it came out. I actually had the launch brochures, which my mother has subsequently binned, as is the story of these things. That's one of the reasons why I can't believe it's 40, because I remember quite distinctly when it was launched. And the other thing about it, of course, is that it was 7 Series, the first 7 Series that was available from factory with a long wheelbase. And the other thing in there was the 5-litre V12 that you got in the 750 IL. And the lady who owned the dealership my dad worked for, she had one as her company car. It was the Demonstrator. And then there was one time when she didn't need it, and I don't know what was up with Dad's, or which the Demonstrator that he drove most of the time, which was normally another one on the list here, an E30 BMW 3 Series. been through a multiplicity of them over the years. And yeah, he brought that, collected me from school one evening in it, and I got to sit in the back like little Lord Fauntleroy with my feet on the little lamb's wool covered footrests, and this massive, and you could press buttons and things happened, and it was amazing because of course it was dealer demonstrator spec. So I have a very soft spot for the E3276.
They look good as well. They really look good.
Those tail lights with the sort of L shape, so they actually had two indicators and two brakes as well, sections in it, so that there was redundancy if something happened, if the bulb went out and things. CAN bus of everything, so it would tell you on the dashboard if stuff was up. It was really cool at the time. Really cool.
Yeah. Anyway, do click the link in the show notes and see which out of those makes you feel old. If it's not just all of them. And that brings us on to the and finally. We're sticking with classics and sports cars, and it's more motoring art, and this time from a gentleman called John A. Fry. And he is an illustrator, but he is also an industrial designer, and he creates art that is sort of a retro-futuristic style, where there is and Alan came up with this great word before because I was stumbling horrifically trying to explain it, but a fusion of vehicles,
yes,
but based on cars mainly, but then elements from other types of vehicle. And there's some, I always love this sort of stuff, and there is some absolutely lovely images here and stuff that he's got, and he's like done fake model box lids,
Tamiya style model lids, that kind of thing for these vehicles.
Yeah,
it's just very cool, very clever.
Yeah, there will be also a link to his own website as well in the show notes, so you can look around even further from outside of what's been put in this article.
But they're super cool. They're really nice. They're just very different. Obviously, there's so many great motoring artists that you can follow and commission and things on Blue Sky, and I'm sure on Twitter. Maybe there are some amongst the AI junk, but Blue Sky and stuff as well. So do, guys, this is a great way to get a surprisingly reasonably priced present for people. Sometimes just don't forget to support motoring artists.
Yep. There's I follow quite a few on Blue Sky. Not that I'm on Blue Sky at the moment, but I follow quite a few on there, and I've purchased art from them. I'm just waiting to put it up. But yeah, no, there is a ton of really talented people out there. So if you're on Weird Car Blue Sky or whatever it's called, you will find them there, and you will see people retweeting them. So even if you can't buy them, retweet their stuff, repost their stuff, because that may get them a sale. And in today, that makes a big difference.
And of course, John Fry here, fantastic stuff too. Sorry, that was the sort of inspiration and the link between the two. That's not to take. Yep. This is such a cool thing. I really like some of these sort of Tamiya style boxes. I like the Team Tyrolia Projet Ouvert.
Yes.
With their 1975 Type 35x4 Autonomique. And you probably got a slight hint of what that might be like from the name, but it's very cool.
Yeah.
It has 6 wheels. That's all you need to know. That's it for the week, isn't it?
It is.
We have every intention of being the normal setup again next week, which is good and reassuring. I'm looking at you just to make sure you're nodding at the minute.
Yeah, I can't think that I wouldn't be, but who knows?
No, well, exactly. But between now and then, you can give us any feedback, share your thoughts with the show at motoringpodcast.com on Blue Sky, at Motoring Podcast on Instagram and on Facebook, and on the contact page of www.motoringpodcast.com, the hub of all our activities. Remember, you can support us financially via Patreon, and please leave a review and rating on Apple Podcasts, YouTube, or however your podcast app lets you do such a thing. Andrew, in the meantime, what's the best way to get in touch with you?
Best way to get in touch with me is if you look for me on LinkedIn. And Alan, if people want to get in touch with you personally, possibly about great ideas for a car with pop-up headlights as a future purchase, What's the best way for them to get in touch with you?
Best way to get in touch with me is pretty much always Blue Sky, where I'm at AJP Bradley, that's BRADLEY.bsky.social. We'll be back very soon, but until then, I've been Alan Bradley.
I've been Andrew Clues.
And safe motoring.